Hi, welcome. Just making sure that we are streaming as we should and that we have audio, because we have had some problems with Zoom streaming the last, we are live. And we have audio. Perfect. Welcome to this week's free training that is going to be all about content that converts. And I host free trainings in this group, Scale with Simplicity, every week. And you can access these recordings if you click on the pinned post or on guides in this group, okay? So I'm just going to move that because I'm in Italy right now and I rent an Airbnb and they have so strong spotlights in the roof that it takes out my ring lights. So actually I needed to put that covers the light from above, because otherwise it's kind of not working with the lighting here. So it is what it is. So welcome. I am going to share about content that converts. And we work with disruptive marketing. And when we built out our marketing, and I want you to understand that marketing is brand building. It's where you position yourself online as the expert, own a part of the market, and build a strong, iconic brand, become the category of one instead of being down where it's really saturated. Because all markets are saturated. It doesn't matter what market you are in, markets are saturated, right? So when I talk about marketing, I talk about position yourself on the market. And when we do marketing, we work with disruptive marketing and conviction marketing, where we create content in layers. So we create content that we call how-to content, hope content, and conviction content. And we also work with our differentiators and storytelling, because storytelling is a huge part of marketing. And we also kind of talk about and kind of break down what it means to be a thought leader and what it means to actually become the category of one and having a category of one brand. And when we work with marketing, we get really clear about how we can design our market strategy. And I'm going to kind of come back to how you can get access to those strategies at the end of this session, because I really kind of wanted to talk about even what kind of it doesn't matter what marketing strategy that you use. I want to talk about what it actually looks like from the standpoint of content that converts, okay? So it doesn't matter what strategy you use, and we work with conviction marketing, but you might use another marketing strategy, right? But I wanted to kind of break down what it looks like from content that converts. And we hear kind of all the time in the online market that content is king. I think you have heard that expression, content is king. But I really want to challenge that, because at the end of the day, you can create a ton of content that doesn't actually mean that it's going to convert, right? And I think we all can agree on that. So I want to challenge that. So the phrase I want to kind of plant in your mind is that content that convert is king. Okay, so write that down. That should be in front of you when you create your content. Content that convert is king. So your job is to create content that either converts into some kind of action, okay? Or it converts into someone that becomes a raving fans that wants to keep listening and consuming more of your content. Or it converts them from a raving fan into a paying customer, okay? So your goal is that every piece of content that you put out there has a meaning and a purpose behind it. And then it converts into one of those three. They join your ecosystem, they go deeply into your ecosystem, continue to explore and continue to keep listening and consuming your content, or they go from your free ecosystem into your paid ecosystem, Okay, so let's start with that. Those are the three main purpose with your content. And what we also work with is that we kind of break down how our market strategy kind of look like from a day-to-day on all platforms, right? Because it can look a little bit different depending on what kind of market strategy you use, but also what platform you work on, okay? But I really want to kind of break down how that kind of looks like when we take our marketing strategy and how we can create these three happening, okay? Number one, and this is something that I really want to talk about because I want you to understand that great brands have something in common, that you can go out and look at any kind of big brand out there, and you are going to see that this is what they have in common. And this is what you want to do, okay? Number one, consistency. We all have heard it, okay? So many online businesses are kind of also inconsistent in their messaging because they get kind of bored, and I'm guilty of that, okay? And they get kind of bored of their own process. They get bored of their own products or their own ideas or of their own content. And the market kind of not see them as a true leader. And they are so diluted. I mean, one day they talk about one topic, another day they talk about something else that is completely unrelated to the first one. And then, of course, that they can't develop kind of market leadership because no one knows what they are actually trying to lead in, okay? So when you think of category of one brands, number one, above anything else, they are consistent, okay? In the messaging, how they show up and how they speak and what they help people with and how they help them, what they do, consistent. Okay, that is number one. Number two, they are focused on their one thing. They know what they are positioning themselves to be a leader of. So we can, for example, take someone that I guess everyone in the market space know who it is. So let's take Russell Brunson, because they launched the ClickFunnels 2.0 or whatever. So everybody have heard about it at this moment. If you look at his brand, his company, their mission, their vision and goals, is that it has always been to be the number one in building evergreen sales funnels, right? You can look at all their kind of marketing that is going on. That is what they do, right? That is what we kind of, when we see that brand, we think about ClickFunnels. That is the fact. So anything that you see kind of they put out or whatever is going to kind of tie back to that North Star in somehow, okay? So when you think about your marketing, whatever it is to create content that is around how to, the way that we do marketing, how to content, hope content or conviction content, it doesn't matter what platform you are in, you need to understand that the audience have to immediately make the connection of who you are and why you are creating this piece of content. How is this piece of content relevant for your one thing, okay? So when you think about category of one brands, the number one, they are consistent and there is an ongoing reputation, right? They are cycling through their pillars of content. They are cycling through their kind of core messaging. They are cycling through their core stories. They are breaking down and repurposing the same message over and over and over again, right? And the reason for that is that they are owning that idea. They're owning that part of the market. They're owning a space in the mind of the market, right? And that is why I say Russell Brunson, because it's easy when you think about him, you think about ClickFunnels and you think about sales funnels, right? It's not, it's kind of intentional. It's by design this is happening. So I really want to encourage you when it comes to be able to create content that converts, stop getting bored with your own story. And stop getting bored with your own product or your own ideas, your own messaging, your own branding, your own whatever you put out there. Because the only one that is bored is you. And you need to understand that it takes about 25 to 27 time or touches to create kind of an impression on someone online, because there's so many people. So if you're kind of the person that I've been guilty of before, that you're kind of consistently changing your messaging or your message or market, your branding, your ideas, your product, your services, whatever, you are never ever going to create that category of one leadership. Okay? So consistency is key. And consistency also includes your cadence, right? How often you are posting, how consistent you are at posting. And I mean, otherwise people are not going to kind of see your content on a consistent basis, because if you throw out some content here, then you wait a week, you throw out something here, and then you throw out 2 posts here, whatever here, there is no consistency in how you show up for people. And the way that you are show up is also the way that people are going to expect what they are going to expect from you as a brand, okay? And when, okay? So these are the things that makes great brands online. So we talked about consistency, right? And we talked about focus on one core thing. What is the idea that you're going to own in the mind of your audience? What is that one thing that you are going to really kind of, when people think about your brand, they think about that. And you know that we work with converting events, right? We built our events around this, okay? So when we run our events, it's going to tie back to that North Star. We don't run events, some event here, one event here, change to this, this, and this. We own it. We own that, and we also run the events around it, okay? So we kind of talked about focus on one thing. We talked about the consistency, and something that is also that going to be number 3 is making sure that you are leveraging all the elements of what we have, kind of what you have in your market strategy. So in our market strategy, we work with the conviction marketing, that is hope content, how-to content, and conviction content. We work with differentiators, we work with storytelling, we work with finding the gap in the market. We kind of work with painting that the compelling future of what you're going to create, the new result, the superior solution, the superior outcome that we create for our clients, okay? So when we kind of, the third thing, doesn't matter what market strategy you use, but the third thing you need to understand is that you need to leverage all those elements, whatever you have in your market strategy, okay? And when it comes to showing up, and when it comes to showing up consistency, when you kind of leverage all this and you tie that back to show up on a consistent basis, okay? Show up with that core one thing, to really, really focus on what you're doing and how you showed up across platform, it's going to be totally impossible for someone to ignore you, okay? Because you are showing up so clearly, so consistent, okay? And you are focusing on one thing that people directly understand who you are and what you help and how you do it. It shouldn't take me even 1 calorie if I go to your social media. I should understand exactly what you do, right? And when I read your post, I should understand who you help and what you do. What is that North Star that all your content is tied back to, okay? And the more different thing you kind of are doing in your content, the less people are going to see you as an authority. And when it comes to people investing, people are paying way more for experts than generalists, right? And in the beginning, I was guilty. I tried to do everything. So I wanted to kind of be the best of everything. That is not going to happen because you are not best on everything. You need to decide, what am I going to own? What is the part of the market that I am going to own, that I'm going to have as much as my North Star, that all my content ties back to, okay? And pricing is predicted upon reputation and how, if you're a specialist or a generalist, right? Because people pay far more for a specialist. That is the fact. So it's really key if you want to kind of position your brand to compete in this noisy, copy and paste crowded market that is out there, where people kind of charge everything from $1 to thousands of dollars in a small course for a big consulting fee. If you want to kind of be in the top tier in your market and you want to be able to build a really solid, high quality brand, it's going to be key for you to make sure that you're positioning yourself as a specialist in your market, okay? And this last thing is frequency, okay? You need to show up. You need to be in front of your market every single day in some way, shape, or form, okay? That doesn't mean that you need to live online, okay? It doesn't mean that you have to be in front of the camera every single day. That doesn't mean that you are going to spend your life attached to a computer. That is not what that means, actually. It means that you have intentionally you're intentionally kind of behind what you do. I mean, for an example, you can do a content creation day every month. So that is what we do. So we have a content day where we have blocked 4 hours where we kind of bunch create a lot of content. We do a lot of back-to-back videos. We write a bunch of posts. We create some stories for the upcoming month, okay? You can do it in 100 different ways. But the bottom line is consistency, right? And cadence and focus on your one thing. And frequently is what's going to take all these ideas of what we have talking about, and they are going to be the difference between content and content that converts, right? Those are going to be the kind of the difference between just posting out content or intentionally posting content. That is going to lead people into one of the 3 actions. Either they join your ecosystem by create some kind of action. Maybe they sign up for a freebie, whatever, okay? Or they join your group, it could be it. Number 2, they go deeper into your ecosystem. It converts them into a raving fan that wants to keep listening and consuming more of your content, okay? Number 3, it converts them from that free ecosystem into a paying customer. That is content that converts. And in order to create that content, you need to intentionally putting out content consistency, okay? You need to focus on one core thing. Don't be all over the place. The only one that is bored of your own content is you, okay? Number 3, you need to leverage all elements in your marketing strategy. And number 4, you need to do it frequently, okay? You need to be in front of your market every single day in some way, shape, or form. And now it's going to be like, oh my God, do I need to post every day on social media? Yeah, okay? That is the fact. Look at the market. Anyone can go online, put up a bio, claim to be an expert, and do exactly what you do. No barrier, anyone can do it. What have happened is that the market is saturated. There is so many people, right? There is so much copy and paste going on and so much noise. You are not only competing against that, you're also competing on everything else that is going on in the world. All the kind of Kardashians and everything that is going on, and all the cute cats and dogs and whatever. That is your competition online. That is actually your biggest competition. Okay, it's all cute cats and dogs and celebrity and whatever. So that means that you need to be in front of your audience every single day. And my biggest tips for that is to block in your calendar every month a content creation day or hours, whatever you want to call it. If you make sure that you have that North Star, so you know what you are going to own, what you're going to be the expert in your market, and you create your marketing around that. It's going to be way easier to be consistent, okay? It's going to be way easier to be consistent. Why? Because you can reuse that content. You are going to repeat that content over and over again, which means if you bulk create 1 month of content, you record 20 short videos, you do 20 posts, whatever, you can reuse that content. A text can become a video can be transcribed into a text, right? A text can become a digital design in Canva. A video can become a reel. Reuse, and that is the easiest way to be consistent, because then you don't need to find a, so this is what I did. So when I started out, I was in fitness, right? I was in fitness and health, and I was the person that I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't have any clue what it was, and I just saw myself that I needed to post something on social media, and I focused on Instagram back then because that was where my audience hung out. And what happens was that I kind of felt like, oh my God, I haven't put out something today. And I kind of dressed up with fitness clothes, off to the gym, took a picture, write a post, and online with that, with absolutely no intention behind the content. I just post for the sake of posting. That is not how you create the category of one brand. That is not how you are going to create content that converts, because you want to make sure that there is a purpose behind the content that you put out there. It needs to convert in one of those, okay? And I shared in the beginning how we work with marketing. So we work with how-to content, hope content, and conviction content. And this is a way of planning out, creating content in a really simple way that is really tied back to your own convictions. Why do you so strongly believe in what you do? Why is your solution superior to anything that is out there? What kind of storytelling do you have? What kind of stories do you have that is going to be relatable for your clients? How can you stand out and be different? What kind of differences do you have? How can you become that category of one and go from being one in a million? That is how we work with marketing. And we have a workshop coming up that is going to run in the Facebook group. It's going to start, so let's see, the 28th of November. It's an 8-day interactive workshop. So for the first 4 days, we are going to craft out your 5-day challenge. And this, as I say, it's an interactive workshop. So we're actually going to craft it out. It's not just teaching how a workshop or how a challenge should look like. You are going to design it as well during those 4 days, okay? In that workshop or in that challenge that you create, you need to have something to sell, right? That is the fact. So we are also going to create an offer, and a scalable offer. We're going to talk about how you can find the gap in your market, how your offer can be tied back to your own convictions, and how your offer can kind of provide a superior solution to what is already out there. We're also going to run some bonus trainings. That is why it runs over 8 days. So it's going to start the 28th of November. One of those days is going to be about marketing. That is one of the bonus trainings going to be about marketing, and one day about lead generation, but one specifically about marketing. So in that workshop, we're also going to run 2 VIP sessions. So there are going to be 2 live VIP sessions if you join the VIP. In that VIP, I am going to include our disruptive marketing blueprint. The way that we built out stories, so we built out 6 different kinds of stories, how we find our differentiators, and how we craft our 3 layers of content. So you're going to get access to that. And for the rest of the day until midnight, if you join that challenge, and if you join the VIP. So the challenge is totally free, okay? The challenge is free. I'm going to share the links. So the challenge is free. But if you upgrade to the VIP, for only $27, you're also going to get access to that disruptive marketing blueprint. It's something that I added today because it wasn't in the VIP. So if you already joined VIP, some of you have, you are going to get access to that as well. Okay, you're going to have it uploaded when we start the workshop. So you're going to have access to that. So yes, even if you already joined, no problem. It's going to be uploaded in the course portal where you have the recordings. Okay, yes. So don't worry if you already joined. You're going to have access to this as well. Okay, so the workshop is free, but if you want to join the 2 VIP sessions, you get the 20 minutes sales group blueprint. You get our transition script where you go from content into selling, and you also get the recordings. You get also recordings of the VIP. But I also threw in this disruptive market blueprint. Okay, so if you click on the link, it's going to be in the Facebook group. Yes, it's going to be added in the comment section. Yeah. So if you join the VIP for 27, you're also actually going to get access to that, how we built our marketing, because your marketing is having we think it's like a 3 layers. So the whole how-to content is where you build that trust, where you show the audience that you know what you're talking about. Okay, because there's so many people out there, right? You show the audience what you talk about. You create value content that is valuable for your audience, that they can take action on, they can learn from. But you don't only want to be a source of information, right? So you also want to create that next level that is going to give your audience the hope that if they are stuck, if they feel down, if they have failed, if they have gone through something, they can still make it and they can still transform their lives. That is where storytelling comes in. That's where you share your stories, your client stories, and build that kind of more strong connection and create hope for your audience, okay? And then we have a top layer that we tie back to our own beliefs, our own conviction, our own thoughts of the market. And that is where I share why I believe my way of scaling a business is superior to anything that is out there, right? So that is why where I share why I do what I do, why I so strongly believe that in the way that I do it is superior to what is already out there. That can be done in so many different kind of ways. So I'm not going to go into that, but that is kind of the simple way of explaining how we layer out content and how we use that content and how we use that strategy into our content to make the content convert. Okay, so I hope this was a valuable short live session for you, and this is gonna stay in the Facebook group. So when you enter the Facebook group, click on the guides, and there is a first guide. I have created a new one for this quarter. It says live free training or something like that. There you can find this replay because it's going to stay in the Facebook group. Okay, no, I'm not going to remove it. No, I run this every week, yeah, but I kind of run them in quarters. So now we are in quarter four, sorry. So yes, they are going to find a new guide in the Facebook group. Yeah, yes, I'm going to share the link to the workshop so you can sign up, and it's 12 p.m. So it's 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The workshop runs live every day, and that is 6 p.m. Central European Time, 5 p.m. UK time. And there will be replays, but I will take them down. But if you join the VIP, you have the replays in your course portal. Yeah, so then you can you have them for life. And if we update them, if we run the workshop again, then we update the material, you get the new updates. It's not like we create new, you're going to keep the old, we create new ones all the time. Yes. So thank you so much. And next week, I think I was going to talk about how you can use live event to sell your offer to many people at the same time. So you have 2 things that you need to master and that you are it's going to survive in any kind of recession, contracting economy, whatever, marketing and sales. The 2 skills you need to master, marketing and sales. Today we talked about marketing, or more specific, how to take a market strategy and create content that converts, okay? Next week, I'm going to talk more about sales, because there is a lot of ways of selling your offer, of course, but in order to scale, the number 1 thing is how you need to learn how to sell to many people at the same time. That can also be done in a lot of different ways. and we do it with events. So we sell to many people at the same time in an audience, right? So that is what I'm going to talk about next week, a little bit about the power of it and why it's now converting more than ever. Live converting events converts more than ever. Webinar challenges, workshop and live launches, and why that is. So I'm going to talk about that in next week's live session. Same time, same place, not the same Zoom link. No, sorry, Sophia, not the same Zoom link. New links every week. But you find them in the Facebook group. You also get, if you're on my email, you also get it on email invites every week. So thank you so much. And I will see you on my live next week. And if you're not in my Facebook group, make sure you join. Okay. So bye-bye. I'll see you next week.